This is the Pizza Tower Sage demo released all the way back in 2019, and this is Pizza Tower 19 Plus, a complete remake of the Sage 2019 demo that includes new visuals, level design, gameplay, and more. This mod has been in development since before Pizza Tower even released, and this definitely shows in the amount of polish and passion that was put into every single aspect of it. In this video, I'll be going through every level in the game, covering all of the gameplay, gimmicks, characters, features, and secrets the mod has to offer. Remember to subscribe if you enjoy these mod reviews, and let's get right into it. Upon booting up the game, we're instantly dropped into a main menu that's very reminiscent of the one in the Sage demo. If you look on the table next to you, you'll find a manual that gives a summary of the game's story. Peppino is once again dressed in blue and ready to go to Sage, this time bringing a map so he doesn't get lost. Since he has some free time until the event starts, he decided to visit the headquarters of Snicksoft, as the owner of the place, Snick, had invited him to playtest some games there a while back. This is where the demo starts, with Peppino pulling up to the building on his pizza scooter. After a rocky dismount, Peppino stands up and checks his map before staring up at the looming headquarters of Snicksoft. Now that we have control of Peppino, we can simply walk forward and enter the "just kidding" tutorial jump scare. This tutorial is a revamp of the Sage tutorial and will help you get a feeling for the game's controls. Peppino's physics and overall movement are heavily modified from the Sage demo and feel very close to the final game. However, there are a few differences that I think might actually make this version of Peppino control even better than he does in Pizza Tower. First of all, one of the best changes is how slope momentum works when body slamming. In regular Pizza Tower, you actually lose some of your vertical momentum if you body slam onto a slope, and this can be pretty jarring if you're transitioning from maximum fall speed to only around Mach 3 on the ground. Pizza Tower 19 Plus fixes this issue by simply making your horizontal speed match your vertical speed after hitting a slope, and it feels absolutely amazing. I can't even describe the satisfaction I get from rocketing down towards a slope only to instantly be shot forward at the same ludicrous speed. It makes the game feel so much smoother and is absolutely amazing for speedruns. Another nice improvement is the ability to grab after performing an uppercut. This makes the uppercut feel more like an actual double jump and gives it a lot more utility when it comes to reaching higher areas. Speaking of grabbing, Peppino actually has this new shoulder bash move that you can activate by pressing grab twice. This move originated from certain older versions of Pizza Tower, including the Sage demo, and basically just gives the grab dash a small extra boost that can kill enemies. Finally, if you're using a controller, you can now tiptoe by holding slightly left or right on the joystick. This serves absolutely no purpose, but it's a cool detail, so I figured I'd mention it. Since we're looking at Peppino, I'd also like to mention that practically all of his animations were actually remade specifically for this game. They really didn't have to do this, but the fact that they reanimated most of Peppino's sprites and the game's art style is an amazing touch and really makes the game feel like its own thing and more unique from Pizza Tower. One of the first things you'll probably notice upon entering this area is this massive speech bubble that occasionally pops up on the top of the screen. This is a feature that was in the game all the way up until the eggplant build, and its only purpose is to display some humorous dialogue and maybe the occasional hint for certain mechanics. In this game, it seems like the speech bubble has been repurposed a bit, as many of the messages are delivered by what seems to be a news anchor narrating Peppino's every move. You can even see this news anchor occasionally pop up on the TV screen with custom sprites and everything, which I think is a pretty cool way to repurpose this admittedly useless feature. After the speech bubble, the next thing you'll probably notice is how beautiful the environment is. It seems as though Snick decided to build his company directly on top of some ancient ruins, as this place is covered in vines, symbols, and statues. This is just the first taste of this game's beautiful environments, and it's only gonna get better from here. Once we reach the end of the tutorial, we can finally enter the Snicksoft building. Snick is waiting at the entrance, and you can actually interact with him by pressing up. This initiates a short dialogue sequence where Snick welcomes Peppino to Snicksoft and thanks him for agreeing to help bug test his new games. After finishing the conversation, we have the choice to look around the hub world a bit before hopping into a level. This hub world features 4 main levels: Archaic Entryway, Pizzascape, Ancient Cheese, and Bloodsauce Dungeon, with the last 3 being taken directly from the Sage demo. Each of the levels comes in the form of one of these computer setups that are similar to the ones in the original Sage demo. However, it seems that Snick has upped the budget slightly because the screens are a lot bigger and even show a preview of the level. It looks like all we have to do to enter a level is press up, so let's go ahead and... Welcome to Archaic Entryway, this game's version of John Gutter. Starting off with the level's visuals, this is essentially a modified version of John Gutter with a different palette and a style that's a bit more grounded. The final part of the level is probably the most improved here, with most of the area being textured to look like an abandoned city and the pillar room having a shadowy overlay that sets it apart from the rest of the level. The level design retains the same general structuring of John Gutter, starting out in a sort of cramped area with a bunch of simple obstacles, followed by another section with slightly more obstacles and branching paths before finally leading into a very open final area with large rooms and plenty of enemies. Each level in this game has 5 top-ins, 3 secrets, and a treasure, with the secrets also being changed completely from their final game counterparts. There's also an entirely new collectible in the form of these pizza coins. There are 25 of these located in each level, and collecting them all will allow you to get some pretty cool rewards later on. An addition that's very reminiscent of the Sage demos are these pizza marts that you can find in each level. In the original Sage demo, these marts sold shotguns for 4 pizza coins each, but in this game they sell a brand new item, the shield. This floating shield temporarily blocks you from taking damage from the front, but at the cost of a whopping 2,000 points. Honestly, they should probably make this thing cheaper because it would take around 40 enemy hits to even break even with how much you'd have to spend on this thing, and if you're getting hit that much, you might as well uninstall the game. If you end up getting a decently high combo while traversing the level, you may notice that the combo ghost will change to be more demonic, eventually sprouting horns, sharp teeth, and a pitchfork. It's at this point that a pretty controversial mechanic will be reintroduced. Say hello to the heat meter. The heat meter was a long removed mechanic that caused enemies to become harder to deal with the more of them you killed. In older versions, this was represented by a meter below your score counter, but in 19 plus, your heat meter level simply correlates to your combo. Every 25 enemy kills, your heat meter level will increase up to the max at 75. The second level simply increases the amount of health each enemy has, but the last 2 levels introduce entirely new variants to every enemy. These variants each have a unique color palette as well as special attacks that they can perform alongside their normal ones. While the heat meter is active, you also have the ability to pummel enemies by spamming the grab button, but as far as I can tell, this is kind of impractical even if it looks cool. I've always been a bit torn on the existence of the heat meter as it was pretty unbalanced when it was introduced, but the way it's implemented in this game is actually pretty great as you have to be actively maintaining a combo in order for it to activate. Upon finishing the level, you're rewarded with a rank from D to P, exactly like in the final game. Every rank screen except for P and S have been lovingly redrawn in the mod's art style, and they actually motivated me to go for a couple lower ranks just to see them all. This level is definitely a very solid introduction to the game and does a good job at introducing all the features that make it unique. Upon finishing Archaic Entryway, we'll be informed that Snick has something to say. Upon talking to him, Peppino is seemingly quite shaken up by the fact that he was just sucked into a computer screen. Snick, however, is oblivious of this as he, and I quote, thought all computers worked like that. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the first actual remake of a Sage level, Pizzascape. Immediately, we can see that this level is a lot less drastic of a change visually from its source material than Archaic Entryway, although the general increase in polish over Pizza Tower is still here. This can best be seen in the texturing of the floor tiles, with the bricks towards the start of the level as well as the walls in the library being upgrades in my opinion from the original sprites. The gameplay of this level is a bit of an amalgamation of both the Sage demo and final release, with several sections more closely resembling their Sage counterparts in terms of layout while also retaining the more momentum-focused design of the final game. The night sections throughout the level have been completely revamped, with each of them being changed to be more cramped and challenging to navigate. This is a pretty great change in my opinion, as the more input-dense layouts make the transformation more engaging to use. The transformation itself is pretty much unchanged from the final game, but several smaller changes to aid P ranks have been made, such as the transformation refreshing your combo and spawning additional top-ins when activated. The other transformation introduced in this level, the ball, sees a lot less use, only really appearing in this level's final secret. The ball transformation here is a lot closer to its Sage version, having a set speed that's much faster than in the final game. Also, I just want to rant really quickly about the enemy who gives you this transformation, the Pepperoni Goblin. This guy has gone from being combo fodder to the most diabolical enemy in the entire game. I have no idea if this is how it is in regular Pizza Tower, but I lost my P rank to this stupid round gremlin so many times that even just rewatching the footage is making my blood boil. I'm not sure if they made them kick faster or just positioned them in the most annoying possible spots, but I swear I would always get kicked by these things even if I was running at full speed. Hey, so after I wrote this part of the script, the devs actually released a patch refresh, then nerf the pepperoni goblins so they no longer have ultra instinct. I sorta wish they did this before I lost my P rank half a dozen times, but better late than never, I guess. Anyways, other than that, this level's pretty sick. Definitely one of my favorites out of the bunch. Now that we're done with Pizzascape, it looks like Snick has something else to say. If we talk to him, he congratulates Peppino and says that he was initially planning to lie and not pay him like a true video game developer, but is now deciding against it. Peppino responds to this in the only reasonable way possible, which is by threatening to pick Snick's quills off and bake them into a pizza. Now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and hop into the third level, Ancient Cheese. To start off, this level's aesthetic of ancient Greece but with cheese has been greatly enhanced from the original game. Certain additions such as these breakable pots and adjustments made to the level's tile set really go a long way when it comes to making the level more visually interesting. The level's layout is also a lot more open now with many branching paths, which was a feature in the original level but is greatly expanded upon here. There are some paths that only serve the purpose of providing an extra collectible or two, but the level also provides plenty of sections where there are multiple clear paths to take when proceeding forward, allowing you to figure out the best route by yourself. Even the bomb puzzles in this level have been improved, with most of them actually requiring you to use your brain in order to complete them. Speaking of bombs, the bomb transformation has been heavily modified from how it appears in the final game. This bomb transformation more closely resembles the one seen in the Sage demo, with it causing you to automatically run forward after picking it up until you either touch a rat or explode. The devs still added a couple new features to this version of the bomb, including being able to throw the bomb as well as being able to change directions when landing from a jump instead of having to bump into a wall. The bomb even has a brand new feature where if you body slam one that's just sitting on the ground, you'll get launched through the air, breaking any metal blocks in your way. All of these aspects are combined beautifully to make some puzzles that are both hard to figure out and fun to try and complete fast. As for the level's other gimmicks, the disappearing cheese platforms function pretty much the same, and this enemy spawner has been changed from a small box to a large box in order to make it more visible. While I think the original Ancient Cheese is one of the least notable levels in Pizza Tower, this version is a pretty big improvement that takes great strides towards making the level more fun and dynamic. Now that we're over halfway through the game, let's go see what Snick has to say. He opens up the dialogue by asking Peppino if he noticed the weird cheese sludge in the corner of the lobby. Oh, that thing? Yeah, I saw that. What is it, Snick? You'll find out in due time. Okay, that's slightly ominous. How about we not think about that and just move on to our final main level, Bloodsauce Dungeon. I have a sort of love-hate relationship with this level. On one hand, I do genuinely like the idea of a completely vertical speed game level, and for the most part that concept was executed pretty close to perfectly in Pizza Tower. On the other hand though, the way this level is designed in the final game physically hurts my hands to play through due to the density of inputs that are required to constantly be moving down compared to just running forward. Thankfully, this issue has been mostly resolved in this version of the level alongside a slew of other visual and gameplay improvements. First of all, the level's been given many small visual tweaks that greatly enhance its overall atmosphere. Everything from the rippling heatwave present throughout the level to Peppino being darkened on the TV during the pitch black section are great additions that make the level feel closer to the menacing lava-filled dungeon it was meant to be. The layout of the level, as mentioned before, has been altered to require a less constant descent, with the rooms being stretched to be wider and more open. Even during the stretches that require you to drift back and forth, there are more obstacles in between, letting you do a larger variety of moves that are less stressful on your fingers than flicking the stick back and forth. The two main gimmicks in this level, the lava and pizza cutters, are functionally unchanged from the base game, but they're utilized much more effectively in this version of the level. The lava, along with being an obstacle to avoid, also helps you progress in certain sections, whether that be by using the firebutt transformation to kill rats or just using the massive bounce from the lava to reach a higher area. The pizza cutters still mainly function as obstacles, but the point where they're attached to the stage has been shifted up by one tile, allowing you to slide under them with proper timing. This seems like a tiny change, but it can actually be pretty useful in certain parts of the escape sequence where you don't have enough space to jump over a cutter. At the end of the day, you can say a lot of things about this level, but one thing's for sure, it's definitely better than the Sage demo Bloodsauce Dungeon. We don't talk about Sage demo Bloodsauce Bloodsauce Dungeon. Now that we've beaten the 4th and final main level, Snick will once again want to have a chat. He starts out by complimenting Peppino's skills before mentioning that there's only one thing left to do before everything's ready for release. This thing is described as one final challenge, and it requires finding the secret treasures hidden in each of the levels. He also mentions that Peppino should check out the cheese sludge in the corner of the lobby, but for now we got a level to unlock. If we head up to the top of the lobby, we can find an outline of one final computer with a sign in front requesting 4 secret treasures. Since I already grabbed every treasure on my first playthrough, all I had to do was press up and I could finally see what the secret level was. Oh, it's Dragon's Lair! Wait! This is actually sick. Oh my god. Welcome to Dragon's Lair, an old unused level that's been revived and turned into the final challenge for this mod. Dragon's Lair was a level scrapped pretty early on, centered around getting to the exit while a timer constantly ticked down. The main gimmick in this level was these throwable junk objects, which you had to carry through short obstacle courses in order to throw them at one of the dragons blocking the way. In between these junk sections were other short parts themed around John Gutter, Pizzascape, Ancient Cheese, and Bloodsauce Dungeon, with all of their related gimmicks being utilized in different and clever ways. There were also these weird top-end Power Rangers that replaced the normal top-ends. Whenever the timer would run out, Pizza Face would spawn, and if he caught you, he'd reset the timer and you'd lose one of the top-end Rangers. Overall, the level had some neat ideas, but was bogged down by the absolutely atrocious level design. This new version of Dragon's Lair retains all the cool concepts like the throwable junk and sections themed after each level, all the while making the level actually fun to play. To start out, the throwable junk sections are a lot longer than before and all have interesting layouts which you have to traverse while holding an item. These blocks, which can only be broken by throwing the junk or an enemy into them, serve as the main obstacles in these sections and require you to actually aim your junk throws instead of just trying to spam the grab button. The dragon at the end of each section has also been given several new moves, including making bricks rain from the sky as well as shooting this massive fireball that deals damage if you don't avoid it. There are sections themed after each level in the demo, except for Archaic Entryway for some reason, and each of these sections uses the level's unique transformations to make a lot of interesting puzzles and challenges. First up, the Pizzascape section has you use the night power up to traverse this very long sliding section where one bonk could lose you a lot of time and potentially your whole combo. The Ancient Cheese section is next and includes a lot of short but challenging platforming sections with the bomb as well as some clever usage of the disappearing cheese platforms. The Bloodsauce Dungeon section is probably the coolest one, with most of the part taking place on these small platforms floating over a massive pit of lava that require you to dodge saws and enemies in order to avoid being hit in. This level is without a question the most improved level out of the bunch, and I honestly applaud the developers for their ability to turn these weird gimmicks and cumbersome level design into something that's actually fun to play. After you beat Dragon's Lair, Snick will give you one last message. In this message, he actually speaks on behalf of the dev team and thanks you for playing the demo, to which Peppino is very confused. While exploring the hub world, you may notice this shady figure lurking around. If you talk to him, he explains that he's a black market dealer and specializes in selling badges. There are a total of 3 badges that you can buy, and you'll have to collect all 125 pizza coins scattered around each level if you want them all. These badges all replace a single move or game mechanic with one that's functionally different but not necessarily better. You're given the option to equip one of these badges upon entering a level, and it's important that you know each badge does so you choose the right one. The first badge replaces your grab dash with the ancient ability of Kung Fu. I already talked about this move in my Super Bow Noise video, but basically Kung Fu is a version of the grab dash that kills enemies on contact at the cost of not being able to perform certain grab related moves. It's honestly kind of a downgrade from the grab dash, but there may be some niche situations where it's useful. The next badge replaces your taunt with breakdance. This move originates from some older Pizza Tower builds where the breakdance was actually an attack. If you press the button once, Peppino will slide forward a bit while breakdancing, and pressing it twice will launch Peppino forward with his butt sticking out. There's actually a quirk with this move where if you start holding the run button after double tapping breakdance, you'll have an insane amount of speed when you land. This is called breakdance canceling and gives the move a major application in speedrunning. The breakdance badge in this game retains these properties, but also adds the additional ability where if you press down after breakdance canceling, you'll slam into the ground and instantly gain max speed. This makes the move even more busted mastered them before, allowing you to achieve Mach 4 speed in pretty much any scenario possible. Overall, in most situations, this badge is pretty much a straight upgrade from the default taunt. You're basically exchanging the ability to parry and super taunt for the ability to instantly become a speeding ball of death whenever you want. The final badge makes it so that your combo meter never runs out, but if you get hit once, you lose your combo permanently. The combo ghost is replaced with this new ghost sitting on a platform with a little speech bubble that states the amount of score that your combo is currently worth as opposed to how many enemies you've killed. The constantly depleting combo meter is now gone, but if you take damage at all, your combo is instantly lost and you can't start a new one. This creates a cool dynamic of risk and reward as you lose the ability to take damage while maintaining the combo, but you gain the ability to go through the level without having to worry about the meter. At the end of the day, these badges are meant to be simple alternative options to help spice up gameplay, and none of them are required for full game completion other than being bought in the first place. Now that we've gotten all the badges, how about we go check out that cheese sludge that Snick was talking about. Visiting the sludge now, we can see that there's a timer embedded into it. If we press up while standing in front of the timer, a clone of Pepino made of cheese will crawl out of it and start following us around. Once we enter a level, we can finally see what this is all about. Introducing Time Attack. Time Attack is a mode where the only objective is to go fast. Your score has been replaced with a speedometer and your rank is now correlated to a medal. The cheesy Pepino functions as a ghost of sorts, mimicking the movements from your fastest attempt on the level and allowing you to see how far ahead or behind your personal best you currently are. You receive different medals based on how fast you complete a given level. The worst medal you can get is bronze, followed by silver and then gold, but the real challenge starts when it comes to the purple medals. These medals are based on the developer's personal best times for each level and they're absolutely brutal. For context, I managed to P-rank every single level in this game in around an hour total, and it took me double that amount of time to get a purple medal on the first level. If you're planning on going for every purple medal, I highly recommend using the breakdance badge and breakdance canceling at every opportunity, as most of the purple medals are possible but extremely difficult to get if you don't. Otherwise, I'd recommend avoiding going for purple medals unless you're just extremely cracked at video games. Now that we've completed every stage and gotten decent times in all the time trials, the only thing left to complete are the achievements. There are 3 achievements that you can get in each level, now named Cowboy Tasks, just like in the Sage demo. After completing your first Cowboy Task, you'll gain access to this equipable cowboy hat located near Dragon's Lair, and each subsequent task completed will cause the hat to grow a little taller. To end off this full game review, I'm gonna quickly go through every single Cowboy Task along with the easiest method to get each one. Starting out with Archaic Entryway, the first Cowboy Task requires you to run at Mach 4 speed for 8 seconds straight without slowing down. This is probably easiest to do in the final run towards the exit during the escape, as you can maintain Mach 4 just by jumping and rolling. The next task simply states to annoy all background pillars in the level. All you have to do for this one is walk by each and every one of these John pillars in the background, so as long as you're thorough enough, this task is pretty free. For the final task, you have to slip on the banana peel of every single monkey in the level. This actually includes the monkeys that spawn during the escape, which makes this challenge about 1,000,000 times harder since it's super easy to accidentally kill them as they spawn. I'd recommend slipping on all of the pre-escape banana peels first, and during the escape don't use the mock run at all so you don't accidentally kill any monkeys. The first 2 Pizzascape tasks are both pretty self-explanatory, as they require you to beat the level without bumping into the wall as the knight and kill all rats as the knight respectively. The final task for this level asks you to kill 5 enemies in a row with the knight transformation. A pretty simple setup I found for this one can be found in this room about halfway through the level. All you have to do is grab all 5 fork knights in the room and set them down between these 2 sets of brick blocks, after which you can just slide down the slope as a knight to complete the task. For ancient cheese, the first task is pretty tricky, as it says to cause all cheese platforms in the level to crumble at least once. This one is extra hard on this version of ancient cheese due to how many branching paths there are, but as long as you make sure to run across some of the more hidden cheese paths, you should be able to finish it out. The next task seems like it could be difficult, as it requires you to get a pizza goblin to kill a rat with one of its bombs. However, all you have to do is set a goblin right next to a rat and stand on it. That way when it tries to throw a bomb at you, it instantly explodes both you and the rat. For the final task, you must break every single pot in the level. A couple of the pots are decently hidden, but this one's pretty easy as long as you're paying attention. The first task in Bloodsauce Dungeon is simple: beat the level without hitting any pizza cutters. This one can be tricky if you go too fast, so just make sure you slow down a bit, especially during the escape sequence. The next task requires you to kill 3 enemies with the firebutt transformation. At first I thought you had to kill 3 enemies in a row, but you can actually kill them separately enemy, so this one's very easy. The last task is very specific, asking you to kill 3 anchovies while pile driving a pincer. There's really only one spot that you can realistically do this, and that's in this room right before the final stretch of the level. There's a pincer right next to a long pit with 3 anchovies in it, so simply pick it up and pile drive it down the pit to finish the task. Finally, we have the 3 tasks for Dragon's Lair, and these are probably the hardest ones in the game. The first task requires you to get an enemy killed by a falling brick. The easiest way I found to do this is just to stun an enemy by picking it up and setting it down, then position your camera so that one of the falling bricks drops straight down onto it. The second task is pretty annoying to try to do, stating that you have to beat the entire level without missing a single junk throw. The best strategy I found for this one is to simply go really slowly during the junk throwing sections, making sure to clear out all the enemies before picking up the junk and carefully throwing it through the remaining target blocks. The final task is to complete Dragon's Lair with at least 2 minutes left on the timer. This one can be pretty difficult, but as long as you ignore all collectibles and go reasonably fast, you should be able to finish in time. Upon completing the final task, your hat will turn gold, signifying that you've completed everything and are now a true cowboy. If you already completed all the P ranks and gold medals, your save file will now read 101%, and if you went the extra mile to get all the purple medals, your save file will now be at the max percentage of 102%. Alright, I know a lot of people click off the video if my conclusion is too long, so I'll keep it quick. This game is amazing, pure and simple. There's a link to the game's page in the description where you can download and play it for free, and I highly recommend that you do this because it's so much more fun to play than I could ever convey in a single YouTube video. The devs did a phenomenal job on this demo, and I can't wait for when the full version releases in another 20 years. I'm joking, by the way, hopefully it releases sooner than that. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.